I don't so much have a problem with drugs and alcohol as I do with feeling. Like I just hate feeling. So if I could just numb out and not have to feel, um, that's a lot easier sometimes. At least prior to my sobriety, that was just the way I looked at things. And so to put it in a new perspective today and frame it up as like I get to feel.
Don't Hide the Scars, a weekly podcast focused on addiction and recovery. Created by the nonprofit PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, and founded by Flindt Andersen.
I'm loving the bumper sticker behind you, Shane. Drinking is for pussies.
Yes. One of my favorites, man. One of my favorites.
I might have to get one of those.
I have a whole bunch, man. I'll gladly hook you up. I got some of those. What's the other one? Keep your blood clean, kind of the sober guy tagline there. So yeah, I'll have to hook you guys up and either mail some down, or when I come down to Fresno next time, I'll maybe we can meet up, man. I'd love to
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Please, you've been doing amazing work since you're got your sobriety. So it was like 2013, been about 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah, just about. Let's see. I quit drinking in 2013, started sober guy in 2014, and man, it's just been crazy over the last 10 years or so. How life has continued to evolve and just ups and downs. And man, I am very grateful though. I'll say that, man. I got a beautiful family. Two kids, my wife. Sobriety, Jesus in my life, just a great foundation. And it's not perfect by any means either. I always want to point that out. We go through ups and downs, on the daily, but man, it's so much better than it ever was before. And I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah. It becomes manageable.
Exactly. Yeah, I've learned a little bit on how to deal with things a little bit better than I ever knew before, which was alcohol and drugs. That's how I dealt with stuff. So that was the easy.
Sounds familiar, right?
God, it sounds so familiar. Yeah, that manageability part. You know what? I never thought I'd ever get to that point where I could. But you make a great point, Shane. We do have ups and downs like everybody else. And I know that with families that I deal with or addicts that I've dealt with, they're always expecting these wondrous things to start coming your way. And I'm going, wait a minute, man. I mean, they will at some point, they will come your way. But early in recovery, man, you better literally learn to take this one step at a time, 15 minutes at a time. Because you're gonna have things. Nothing goes away just because you got sober.
Yeah,
all that crap, okay, does not simply go away. And I think that's where we lose a lot of kids in particular with relapse. And what I mean by a kid is that 21 to 29-year-old range, where they just can't handle it. And here's the big one. Well, geez, I quit using, Mom and Dad. So why aren't you forgetting everything that I did? Well, look, I mean, anything like me, man, it's tough to forget the shit I did.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just something we got to try to teach these kids.
Yeah, Hunter. And what's always I've found interesting is like we kind of mentioned, drinking, drugs. Really is an escape. Like I always tell people too, like I don't so much have a problem with drugs and alcohol as I do with feeling. Like I just hate feeling. So if I could just numb out and not have to feel, that's a lot easier sometimes. At least prior to my sobriety, that was just the way I looked at things. And so to put it in a new perspective today and frame it up as like I get to feel, and it's still tough sometimes to feel. Sure. Like maybe someone's sick, a death, go down the list of things, just everyday stresses of being a parent and trying to do life. But I get to feel, and I really do try to sit in that today. And I think that's helped to get to know myself a little bit more and to continue to grow and to be able to be authentic and be real and have real conversations with people versus just like, hey, let's get hammered. You know, that was always just something very surfaced and dumb. So, yeah, it's, oh, and then I was going to say too, is what's sad to me. And in all honesty, I really understand why somebody, maybe they have some physical pain. Maybe they have physical and emotional pain. I have a couple people very close to me who deal with this on the daily, and they drink or they take drugs in order to help that tolerate that pain, in other words.
Sure.
And so I'm not advocating it. It sucks, but I understand it at the same time
Sure.
too. It's like, man, and I think that, you know, that's and maybe that's where some of the sympathy and some of the understanding and love has to come in. You know, where we have to just really love on people and let them know that we're here for them, because ultimately the person has to make the decision that they want to make a change in their life. I can't do it for them. You guys can't do it for them. You could have all the resources in the world and all the answers and all the programs and everything, but like at the end of the day, if they don't want it, then they're not gonna do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I mirror what you said. I don't, and it's weird. I don't know if it was because I manifested so much emotional pain that it became physical, or I had so much physical pain that it was a part of rolled into the already pre-existing emotional stuff. And oftentimes it was like, okay, I'll pop some ibuprofen and drink a 12 pack, you know? And it's sad because a lot of people do deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shane, let me ask you, how old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no, not at all. So my son Cash, he's 8. He'll be 9 this July. And then my daughter, let's see, she'll be 13 in about 2 weeks, and she thinks she's 22 at this point.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So my daughter was I think she was about 3, right around 3 when I got sober. So
Yeah. The reason why I asked that is, you know, when I got sober, my sons were 19 and 16. And man, when I hear guys like yourselves that got sober when your kids were younger, brother, you guys are in for such a wonderful ride with these kids, even though they're a pain in the ass. Okay. Because they still can be at 40 and 36, trust me. But I so often try to get across to guys that have kids that, you know, my kids today know that they're not going to find their dad dead from an overdose somewhere, you know, and that's important. And the other thing that's important is the fact that, you know, your kids, they may have known a little bit about your using, you know, in some of those days, but for the most part, a lot of that's going to go away. They're not going to remember some of that stuff. And you guys now have a definite advantage, all right, with your kids over those of us that didn't do it that way, you know, because nobody, trust me, wants to go into rehab when you're 45 years old and your kids are that age, because man, it took 4 years for my sons to even want to talk to me.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate you, you know, the encouragement in that. And I do recognize that the blessing it is to be able to not have my son in particular has never seen me, you know, drink or use drugs or anything. And he's very like, he knows that dad's sober. He knows that the work that I do. And he's very like on the same page with me. You know, I'm going to be sober, dad. He's inspired by that. He sees that. And he also sees, I mean, you're never going to get away from alcohol. It's everywhere. Family, friends, functions, stores, wherever you go. And so you know, instead of trying to, I think it's a good example of, instead of trying to talk about stuff, we just be it. And when we just be, instead of trying to run our mouths about it, that's when people, you know, that's the attraction rather than promotion type of mentality, I think. And so I think he's picked up on that at an early age. And my daughter, you know, she was, Gosh, she was like 3. But the one, and I've shared this on the podcast a few times. There was one in particular moment, and it was probably about 6 months before I finally ultimately quit. But this is one of the deciding factors in that I was out in the garage one day, and I think it was late at night actually, and I had gotten off of work and I was out there drinking, and I think I was smoking, and she suddenly came out, and I did the whole like tried to hide the thing. There was smoke in the air, and she just looked at me. She's so innocent. She said, "Daddy, it smells like evil out here."
Oh,
she just closed the door and just walked. She just closed the door and walked in. She was in her little princess nightgown. And man, I just remember at that moment, it was like something just stuck me right in the gut. And I was just like, man, what am I doing? Like, what am I doing? And I had already had these feelings coming up, and I tried to quit quite a few times and always went back. And so that was one in particular moment. But I think the thing that I'm most grateful for, Flindt, to your point here, is that I did get it early enough where I've been able to, like, people ask me like, what's the greatest thing about, being sober, about your recovery? And it's like, man, I've literally changed the trajectory of my family, of like, I've changed that path. I've broken that generational curse that is still very active right now as I speak in elements of my own family, at the outside, the external family. And man, that's one thing that I am so grateful for and very, very happy about is, the ability that I don't have to do that, but man, crazy times back in the day, crazy times.
Yeah. And God, I just love that.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised, top quality care with programs for detox, inpatient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living, support groups, and more. With 50 plus years of combined experience and sobriety, Flindt Andersen and Thelma Gatlin Wilson provide adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect, and a safe, comfortable environment. To begin the process of recovery, to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction, call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
And I'm going to tell you guys this one thing too. This past weekend, my family and we had to go down to Newport for my aunt's 90th birthday. Okay. Wow. And God, she still looks, seriously, she looks like she's 70. All right. I mean, I know that doesn't make sense, but here she is. And, we're down there with the rest of the family. My entire family's from down there. And she looks at me and she goes, I can't believe, she said, how proud you have made me, because of what I do now. And she was, there's a lady that was instrumental, I don't want to say so much in recovery, in my recovery, but in my life, to the point where she never judged me. She was always glad to see me, no matter how I looked, no matter how fucked up I was, no matter what, but to look at her and the look in her eyes this past weekend, and for her to say that when we're celebrating her, man, boys, that's what recovery is about right there. Okay. That's what it's about. Doing it for others, doing it for your aunt, doing it for your kids. Because if we do it for others as much as we have to do it for ourselves, it will heal, I believe, will heal our hearts faster.
Amen to
I've
that.
always believed that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's at 92, like that's number one. That's pretty amazing right there. Right. But to be able to hear that from someone you love like that, and I'm guessing that she probably saw you at the worst of your worst at times.
Oh yeah.
And, hopefully never gave up hope. And it sounds like she didn't, because she got to see the turnaround, man. Yeah, that's great.
No, she never gave up hope. I remember one time, though, this was like I know I'm dating myself, but this was like 1973. I remember I'd come home. She was visiting our house. My mom was her sister, and she I'm walking up to the front of the house, and she looks at my mom and she goes, "My God, he looks like Jesus."
I gotta see some of these pictures.
I know. I got to see that too. That's great.
The hair down the middle of my back, the whole deal. I thought that was pretty cute.
I want to kind of touch on a point that you gentlemen brought up, especially talking, well, not just with the youth, but anyone. And Shane, you do amazing work with people. I mean, even just the challenge, hey, let's do 30 days and see how different your life is. Yeah. And I think the hard thing that I've noticed is so many want a certain answer in their recovery and sobriety, as opposed to embracing the uncertainty, because there was no guarantee that Flindt was going to get that.
Right.
But that's a beautiful thing that will now stay with you forever, and a moment of beautiful energy between you and your aunt. And I think, how do we get these people to embrace a little bit of uncertainty? How do I go out? How do I date sober? How do I interact with people? It's like, you're going to figure it out. And I think it's that fear component.
Absolutely. So fear is definitely a good part of it. And great question, man. That's I was just talking about this with my wife. I keep hearing letting go as you're saying that. It's really letting go of control, and also for me, trying to have all the answers to everything. Like one of my favorite things now that I can say today is like, I don't know, and be totally okay with that.
Right.
I don't need to like bullshit my way around and try to have all the answers and know everything. I don't know some things, and I'm fine with that. And if I have a strong connection to God and I'm doing my best, I can truly let go, and I can just do the next right thing. And I think that for me has been one of the biggest, probably one of the biggest reasons that I haven't went back to drinking, that I haven't went back to doing drugs in order to escape. Because man, let's face it, some days suck. Like some days are just like, dude, what is like, I don't even know how I stay sober through this or that or whatever, right, but like, I do. And I just really trust that God has a plan. He loves me, and that I'm going to do the next right thing, and it will work out. And so there's a lot of trust in it, I think. And you have to be okay with the unknown, the uncertainty, just like you were saying. And that's a tough thing to do. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying I do it perfect either, and that I got it all figured out, but I do have the general sense enough to practice it on the daily as much as I can, and have conversations about it too, like just like this, and that's powerful stuff too.
Mm-hmm. You have to be able to trust when it doesn't happen, if that makes sense. Because there's as we get older, not everything is going to come our way. I mean, and I'm talking little things to big things, right? It doesn't matter, because sometimes God's answer is no.
Yep.
And that answer no is for a reason. But we have to be able to sit back and kind of discern, right? Discern, okay, the answer was no. Now let me understand why the answer was no.
Yeah.
Because if we can understand why the answer is no, then we're going to be able to deal with it better. When the no's just come and you get pissed off and you can't understand it, okay, that's when things can turn to shit really fast. But if you learn to sit back, it goes back to the old thing, learn to sit with yourself, learn to put your ass in a room, okay, for an hour a day, and shut down everything, your phone, your music, your TVs, all of it, and just sit by yourself and learn how to listen.
Yeah.
If more of us could do that, again, I'm not a pro at it by any means, okay, but it's something I try to do, and it just gives me a little more inner peace.
Yeah, I love it. And I think that what you're saying too, Flindt, is like those expectations. If we can eliminate expectations out of the gate from anything, and now when it doesn't work out like I expected it to, I'm not disappointed, because I didn't have those expectations. What I did is I did the next right thing that was in front of me.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's it. And I kept it real simple in that. Now, it doesn't mean that I don't have visions. I don't have dreams. I don't have aspirations to do things. I don't have plans. I do. I really believe in that. But at the same time, I really try. I've been let down in my life so many times, and I've learned that that's not really a fault to others. It's a fault of my own, because I've set up certain specific expectations that don't work out sometimes. And it's just easier to not have them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then one more thing on that too, you know, sometimes when that answer is no, God gave us a brain to use, you know, let's use it. Just because he's saying no, maybe there's another route to get to where we need to be, you know? So let's start using our own brains a little bit more and try to figure some of this stuff out, because once everything is start to be given to you, I mean, what's it worth?
Yeah.
Not worth much if it's just constantly being given to you instead of working for it.
Yeah.
Old school shit right there, boys.
100%. Yep.
Well, and I mean, you hit it on the head too. What's the addict's least favorite word? No.
No.
Can I have another beer? No. Can everything go my way? No. Embrace the uncertainty.
I had someone close to me say that. I was trying to get him to go to a meeting, you know, and this was years ago. And he goes, oh, well, what? Like, I'm just going to all of a sudden go to a meeting and my whole life's going to change. I'm going to have a bunch of money and I'm going to have a place to live. And I said, no, that's not how it works. So don't be a smart ass, but like, it's not like you have to put the work in. You got to show up. It's going to take time. It's a process. I'm still in process. We're all in process every day. I'll be in process till the day I die. And the day that I stop trying to be in process is the day that I should just die, because I've stopped learning and growing. And what the hell's the point anymore? You know? And I love that though. It's like, man, we're so hard headed sometimes that, and the ego can puff up, you know, where it's just like, it really is overpowering, I think. And, we've lost even some common sense and some ability to think critically, where we can kind of break it down and just submit, surrender, and just go, okay, I'm just going to do this. And I'm actually, like, to your point, Flindt, like, I'm just going to listen. Like, I'm going to shut up and I'm just going to listen, and I'm going to like do what I'm told to do and do the next right thing. And I'm going to hang out with people who aren't destroying their lives and who are actually trying to better their lives. Like, you know, and it's easy to say, it's harder to do, but it's possible. It's possible when we submit.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to that time thing. We all hate time, you know. It's and imagine going back to when you were 25, you know, and just starting this road. You know, I mean, my God, to be honest with you, I don't know if I could do it again. I just don't know if I could do it again. But that's everybody's crutch, I guess, is the time thing, you know. If we could, and again, everybody's different. Everybody's going to handle it in their own time frame. I just wish they'd handle it a little sooner, you know, so they don't have to go through the bullshit that I went through, or you went through, or you've gone through. You know, that's part of our recovery, is letting these people know you don't have to go through this. You don't have to waste any more time at this if you don't want to.
Yeah. And if we look at it from more of like a cultural perspective too, a media perspective, like, for instance, I love baseball, right? We just went down to I was just in Newport actually myself just a week ago too. Nice. We went down, we stayed down in Huntington for about a while back, and just a couple of years ago. And so we have family, friends down there, still love to visit, and love to go to Angel games down there. So we went to the Angels game on Easter Sunday, went to church, went to the game, amazing day. But it's just so, and then like I went to my first 49ers game this last season, and just between, we'll just kind of group it together. Sporting events, the advertising and the subliminal messaging and the ability to normalize and desensitize us as human beings to alcohol, to prescription, you know, pharmaceutical drugs, all that stuff. We don't realize the impact that it has on us. I'll just take a pill for it. Oh, I'll just buy a $16.75 tall can at the game. Like some dude in front of me I saw him buy 2 of them. I'm like, damn, you just paid like $33 for 2 tall cans. Are you? And you're going to feel like shit in the morning. Like, congratulations. And that dude actually missed the ball. So thank you to him. He missed the ball that Taylor Ward threw out into the stands, and I picked it up and gave us awesome. So take that. But like, man, I just, especially at the Niner game too, it was just it's so evident like how big these corporations are and how big these, these companies are that are just nonstop advertising and creating this normalcy bias that it's okay to just drink all the time. Come home, you had a hard day, have a drink. Go to the game, have a drink. Go to a funeral, you're sad, have a drink. And it's really sad. And I do feel that there's a huge shift in momentum from people like us and all the others out there who are talking about this and bringing it up and doing amazing work. And we're starting to shift the narrative. You can even see in some of these big companies, they're starting to campaign for NA drinks or, and I'll just alcohol specific. They see that there's this new kind of culture coming up and people aren't buying, the people aren't buying it like they used to. And so now they're having to get creative and stuff too. And I just love telling people like, there's another life out there, or maybe you don't know. I do. And you can know about it too. Like you don't have to drink. You don't have to drink. You don't have to kick it with your homies in the garage after work and drink just because that's what your dad did, or that's what was told to you to do on TV, or that's what you saw on MTV back in the day. Now I'm dating myself because MTV used to have videos and be cool, but now it's just a bunch of shitty reality shows. But anyways, man, sorry, I didn't mean to rant there, but like, do you guys feel me on that though? The media and the culture and the whole normalcy bias of just take a pill or just have a drink?
Yeah. Well, but it's there. I mean, even you bringing that up, shitty TV. I mean, how many of I don't tune into them anymore, but I've, personally talked with Mike the Situation from Jersey Shore, who's in recovery, and, all that. You would watch those shows, and that was the surrounding of everything. And every conflict, it was just like, here it is, loaded up with alcohol. And so you go, okay, that's the normal thing. It's not only the normal thing, but it's also the normal thing to be a shithead. Right. Like it's a rite of passage. Like, no, you can go your whole life without ever being a shithead.
Yeah, it's possible.
Trust me. Yeah, it's possible to just keep making the next right decision. Right. And if you mess up, which most likely if you're making the right decisions isn't on purpose, there's this little thing called making amends or apology for us non-indoctrinated. And most of the time you can work through this stuff with others. It's simple. Sure, it's hard, but it's also simple at the same time.
Yeah, I had someone she was telling me all about the problem she was having and this and that and he this and he that and I arrested all these things. And I said, hey, what's the one common theme among all the shit that you just told me? I don't know. Alcohol. Eliminate the alcohol. 9 out of 10 things you just told me don't happen at all, And so it has such an impact. It really does, it really does.
Yeah. No, I have not had a situation where a cop is in my vicinity and I'm nervous in a long time.
That's
it's
great.
Like, it's kind of refreshing, or driving like, oh, CHP's behind me. Well, okay, I'll move. It's not oh my God, am I going to, things change.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
I go back to that, speaking about commercials, I go back to the one where guys just got the biggest kick out of this, man. One of the pharmaceuticals company came up with opioid-induced constipation.
Wow.
And we now have a pill for that. Okay.
Wow.
Like everybody that uses an opioid doesn't know that you are going to become constipated by using these drugs. And when I wrote a piece on it, I said, now they've got us going in and they've got us coming out. Because again, it's a pill for every little tiny thing, butterflies flying around, everything's great. It's such horse shit. It's
the disclaimers at the end are always the ones that I just sit there and laugh at. It's like, may cause diarrhea, nauseousness, you might die. Like, dude, wow. Gotta be a better way here, guys. Come on.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Every medication, please outweigh the positives versus the negatives. And if the benefits don't outweigh those negatives, probably not for you. Right. But I mean, we're even seeing it though. Flindt and I talk with a lot of people about the, medication assisted treatment and the long term and the side effects of that. And it's like, goodness gracious. I mean, was it 3% or 8% of the world's population in the United States consumes like 95 to 98% of all pain medications and opioids, and
we consume 99% of the world's Vicodin supply, and we consume, I believe it's 93% of the world's opioid supply. Yeah. So again, those are verifiable statistics. And that statistic alone says it all about where we're at, as a society, and how people can't recognize that we've got a problem with this is just beyond me. We obviously Jason knows that, we try to do a lot in Sacramento. We work with a couple assembly people. We work with some other folks on this, and we're trying to get some bills passed and get some legislation through. That is becoming more and more difficult, by the way, to get these things through. But like I was talking to Pam earlier, I think there's one simple reason behind it. That the powers that be, they truly don't want to understand what addiction is.
Yeah, that's great.
They just simply don't want to understand it because nobody is being allowed to go in and to explain it to them.
Yeah.
We're giving them the statistics on death. We're giving them statistics on how much we use. But nobody, again, the powers that be are not even willing to understand the reasons why.
Yeah.
And until we do that, whether it's alcohol or drugs, until everybody starts to understand the reasons why, and then part two of that is getting the proper treatment for someone. And by the way, that includes the insurance companies being on the same page in order to allow the time for those people to get the proper treatment. We're screwed.
Yeah. Yep.
This is an uphill battle. I mean, and it's going to be one for a long, long time. When you guys were talking about the whole drinking thing with your buddies in the garage. Hell, we've got a governor that stands up there and says, yeah, I self-medicate at times. I like to go home and have a glass of wine after work. Well, he's telling everybody the same shit.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And what is it? I think I was doing a little digging around earlier. 6,000 fentanyl related deaths in California. It said it was 19 times more than the total for the same period in 2017. And then I don't know if you're if this is some of the work you're doing, but they're reconsidering Senate Bill 44 was something else. So punishing fentanyl drug dealers. But like you said, it's an uphill battle because I feel like when it comes back to the empty suits, it's what's in it for me. And if there's not anything in it for me, I don't really care. So the education piece probably doesn't even matter either to some extent. It matters to us. It matters to families out there, but it's, and then like all this stuff, I won't even go to San Francisco. I won't take my family.
I don't either.
I'm good. I used to go out there a lot when we were younger. My wife and I, even before we had kids, that was a great spot to go. But I just, and there's pockets of decent spots out there like anywhere, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it because it's not good.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we do talk a lot about the decriminalization and people getting behind that. And and harm reduction when they don't even really know what the hell it means at the end of the day, because a lot of the people, oh, good, we're not throwing the addict in jail anymore. Well, but you're also just leaving them on the streets to die. Exactly. You're not exactly giving them help, and you think you're doing something humane. It's like, wake the you know what up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop.
Well, and again, what people don't realize, nobody wants to throw the addict in jail for being the addict.
Yeah.
But damn it, I have no problem with throwing the addict in jail if they're stealing Nike shoes out of Walmart.
Yeah.
Because it's still their behavior that's associated with that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, this thing has so many different layers to it. It's not even funny, you know? So yeah, nobody wants to throw, quote, the addict in jail for being the drug addict, but I don't care. I don't give a damn who says what. We still have to be responsible for our actions and
100%.
What we do. Because again, they don't understand that addict isn't stealing those Nike shoes because he wants the Nike shoes. He's stealing the Nike shoes so he can sell those so he can buy more drugs.
Exactly.
That's what these assholes in Sacramento don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely assholes. Love that word. For the man. I love it. We're on the same page.
You bet. You bet.
Yeah.
I was just going to mention just the heartbreak. I mentioned to you guys right before we started recording, you guys were based out of Fresno, doing amazing work. I come down to Fresno for work. You used to come down a lot more, but when I see downtown Fresno now, it breaks my heart to drive through there. Sure. And just to see what's happening. Like, regardless of anything, these are human beings and they're suffering straight up. Like, and that goes outward. And it is very sad to see. And I don't think any of us have all the answers, but we need some answers. And it always comes back to, who are our leaders at the end of the day, and what are they doing? What are they doing?
Well, we've got leaders down here that are trying, and there's other leaders in the state that are trying too. But every time we go up there, we're going to be up there again tomorrow and Thursday. But every time we have to face that liberal Democratic assembly, I mean, my God, we cannot even get to first base. Jim Patterson proposed a bill, again, increasing jail sentences for fentanyl dealers that carried over a certain weight.
Yeah.
Now that has to go before the California Public Safety and Health Committee. That's the first thing. That chairman of that committee refused to even hear the bill initially. That's not even in their job description. Their job description is to hear that bill. Now, if you're going to follow the policies and follow the laws, they have a right to vote no on that. But this asswipe didn't even allow it to be heard. So we went back up there last week. Everybody marched our happy asses over to his office. We had a big press conference out there, and now at least they're going to hear this thing on Thursday.
Good.
Right? But I can almost guarantee you, both of you right now, they're going to vote that thing down on Thursday as well.
Yeah. And he probably didn't. I'm 100% positive he certainly didn't read it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I could get into that shit for hours. Let me tell you. I mean,
well, I'm sure there's a lot there.
Yep.
Shane, when you're working with people, how do you really start to, one of the hardest things is definitely the having fun element, and a lot of people, well, how do you have fun? Or, how do you find joy? And I'm like, well, you weren't really having joy in the first place. You're getting pleasure, not joy. But how do you kind of work and talk with them about that? That's definitely for young people, one of the hard areas to get them on board with.
100%. It was one of the big reasons it took me some time of going back and forth before I eventually did quit, because I didn't like how I mentioned going to baseball games. How am I going to go to a baseball game and stay sober? Right. There's a good example, because when we used to go to Oakland games, we tailgated, We partied hard in the parking lot. A lot of time we didn't even go in till the 7th, 8th inning. And then when we did, or if we did get in a little early, we were standing in line to get more beers or whatever. So like, it's like the events were never about the event. It was about the party leading up to the event and the party during and the party after. And that, like you mentioned, it's not fun. I think it's fun. It's manufactured fun. It's drinking, it's partying, it's, doing other stuff. So one of the things for me that I really like to focus on with myself, as well as talk to other people about and help them understand and relate to, is like when we were kids, there were things that we really enjoyed to do, and we had genuine fun as kids. I'll just say skateboarding was one of them for me, right? I still love to ride. I have an old Rob Roscoff Santa Cruz board. I ride with my son. Got into some surfing in the last couple of years. God, one of the hardest sports I've ever tried in my life. Those things are challenging now as I've gotten older, but skateboarding in particular was one thing that I loved. And so I feel like I'll just speak for dudes out there. When we become adults, we get jobs, we have kids, we have responsibilities, and all the things that gave us joy when we were young, most of them go out the window. And then a lot of us start drinking and we start going down that road, and we got stress, and we have all life stuff. And so when I got sober, I had to find things that I genuinely enjoyed to do and that I used to enjoy to do, and even new things that I'm trying that challenge me, that are fun. I work out every day that I can. 5 days a week at the minimum. I'm getting after something, even if it's a walk late at night. I like to walk at nighttime after the kids go down, and staying active is a really big one for me. Boxing, CrossFit style stuff, swimming, all that kind of stuff helps to keep me going. And it challenges me in the process too. I just feel like we have to find things that when we were young, that genuinely gave us joy, and try those again, bring those things back. So if you're like newly sober right now, and maybe you were into mountain biking a long time ago, I only say that because one time I tried to get into mountain biking and bought a helmet and stuff, and I looked like a total dumbass. And like, I had fun riding though. It was kind of cool. And then it didn't last very long. And like, I'm still down for mountain biking. It sounds great, but it didn't take, in other words. But maybe there's something you used to do, bring it out again, try it out. Don't hurt yourself, start slow. But like, find those things that really get you excited, get you pumped up about life. Like what is that genuine joy you once felt as a kid that you can now try again? And the other kind of caveat to this, and this is a big one with surfing with me, is like, you're going to suck. Being an adult man and sucking at something in front of other adults, it sucks, period.
It sucks.
But
yeah, it does.
It does. Nobody wants to do that, but that's where getting uncomfortable. You're going to suck at being the sober guy at first. You're going to suck going to that party and being the only one, or that wedding, Aunt Kay's wedding you had to go to, and everyone's drinking and you're the sober dude. Right. It's going to suck because you're new at it, but you got to work through that. And you got to understand there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You got to keep going and embrace the suck. I know that's an old military thing, I think. And I love trying to take that mentality. And I'll just suck for a while. Eventually, I think that was the last podcast I put out last week. It was titled, You Won't Be a Kook Forever. And basically just as a kook in surfing, like I follow a couple of accounts that are hilarious on there. But if you keep practicing whatever you do, even being sober, eventually you're not going to be the new guy. You're going to be helping other people too. So yeah, great question, man.
Yeah. No, and it was for me. I think I don't remember on here, but my first ever sponsor was exactly, what did you love to do as a kid? First thing I came up with was Legos, and here's a Lego gift card. And I still, to this day, they're a little expensive because I like to build the Star Wars ones, but to this day, I had 2 bookshelves. Luckily, I have a wonderful partner who's like, I think they're cool in our master bedroom. So
that's cool. Yeah.
God bless her for that. But also like events. I have talked about one of our early dates. We went to see one of my favorite bands, Kiss. And I realized, this is the first time I'm ever seeing them sober. And I never got like shit housed or blackout or anything, but definitely had 2, 3, 4, 5 beers. And so it was like, am I going to enjoy this? Is this going to be? I remember the whole thing. I had a blast. My voice was dead at the end from singing the lyrics to every freaking song. Like, trust me, the joy is there. And I get to relive it now because I remember I saw him 20 something times. And I remember 2 concerts, the first time and the last time I saw him.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Mine was when I got out of treatment the last time was, could I hit the golf ball straight without being high? Because I learned how to play golf high, you know. I mean, and today, I mean, Jason knows. I mean, shit, if I don't play golf twice a week, I'm just a grouchy old man. Then, you know, got to do it.
I'm bringing my golf clubs down. Then
bring them
when I come down next time, if we have some time. And just for the record, Flindt, you know what we call that when you get high and play golf? We used to call it Mario golf. We said, you want to play some Mario golf? Get all stoned and, you know, drinking. And I would only last till about the 13th, 14th hole because I'd just be over the golf. I was just partying now.
Right.
It was too strenuous.
Oh, yeah. Too rough. Yeah. There's so many great analogies with golf, too, and recovery and even in life, too. Just it's just such a fun thing. I try to get out a couple times a month at the minimum.
Man, bring your clubs when you come, man. We'll go to my course and we'll go play, man. Absolutely.
Love that. That'd be awesome.
I was thinking about, too, I've been listening to a lot more, books, because I get a nice commute here, and I was listening to Atomic Habits. And how do you work with people with goals? It's that good old failure to plan is a plan to fail, and it's I think it's really it's imperative to this process for someone that is new.
Yeah. Well, accountability is so huge, and you kind of even said something when you just shared about the Legos there, Jason. You said, my sponsor gave me a card and said, here's some Legos. So you had somebody who believed in you, who supported you, who was genuinely caring for you and saw something in you and said, here, try this, go do that. I support you in that. And so when I tried to quit drinking and when I tried to quit living that lifestyle I was living, I always tried to do it on my own at first. And that's why I failed so many times, because I kept trying to do it on my own. And the moment that I just finally threw my hands up and was like, man, I can't do this anymore. And I told my wife and I told my best friend, Seth, and I started opening up and not trying to do it on my own was when things started to change. And that's a very difficult thing for people to do. Pride, you go down the list of things. I have a little process that I like, and I titled it PRAY, P-R-A-Y, and it just goes personal responsibility and ownership, radical acceptance, accountability and community, and you're resilient. And so in those 4 buckets, you kind of tackle a lot of stuff right there, recognizing there's a problem, taking ownership, admitting the problem, asking for help, letting go, surrendering, and then that personal responsibility piece that's came up a couple times in this conversation already, which is huge. Admitting that I'm, actually am struggling with this, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to talk about it now. One of the other things in the radical acceptance part too is alcohol creates adversity. I love this because, like, it was kind of back to my point earlier when that person was telling me about all the problems they were having. And it's like, man, like, what's the one thing that's like the common denominator in that? It's alcohol. It's creating all this adversity and these issues in your life. Do you not see that? Or are you denying it? Like, what is that? So being conscious of that and coming to terms with that, huge. Like, we have to do that. But, and I just like, I don't want to go down the whole thing, but accountability, having a friend, a mentor, a coach, community, whether it's a group, a 12-step group, a men's group, a church group, whatever it is, all those components are so huge. And then the last piece, the resilient piece, you're resilient. We're all very resilient human beings. We can bounce back physically, mentally, emotionally. It's possible, but there's a lot of work and stuff that has to take place and to do that. But if we're willing, then, it's possible. And like the 4 things in that were like forgiveness, So forgiving others, and more importantly too, sometimes forgiving ourselves, and then gratitude, being of service. And then we talked a little bit about the goals and hobbies thing too, because having fun was such a huge part of, I think, why so many people just choose to keep drinking, because that's the only way they know how to have fun. So we have to find some other ways to replace the fun. And what do we do? And it's like anything, man. It's not like, you don't go to the gym one day and just do like one set of squats and a couple of curls and you're shredded and in great shape. Like, you got to put reps in. You got to go day in and day out. The golf course, you don't just go out to the golf course and smack a couple balls and you're a great golfer. No, it takes endless amounts of swings and days and at the range and screwing up and wanting to quit and wanting to throw my clubs in the water, but not quitting and keep going. And you have to have that like pit bull mentality with all of this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Especially sobriety. And there's plenty of resources and support out there, so you don't have to do it alone.
Yeah. And you bring up a great point of, hey, if we're taking this away, we've got to put something else in there. And there's nothing like connectivity to others. As I've told newcomers, and I'm sure you do, not what words you use, was like, yeah, that old group, it's not your group anymore. And if you want like-minded people, come to a meeting. Hey, guess what? My church, there is openly an abundance of people there that are sober, and they found their faith through that process, me included. It's like, hey, there's plenty of ability to connect with others. And we're usually all of us are very willing to talk.
Absolutely.
I've not met a single person that's like, yeah, I've been sober 15 years. Wow. Can I pick your brain? No.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm good. Yeah.
Right. Just give us an opportunity and we will just vomit will come out. Okay. We will just boatloads of information is going to come out. Yeah.
Hey, Shane, if people want to find out more about the work you do and the Sober Guy podcast, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Great. Just first and foremost, man, thank you so much again for having me on the podcast. I appreciate you guys, and the work you guys are doing is amazing. So thank you again. If you want to check out That Sober Guy, everything's at thatsoberguy.com. You can find more podcasts there. We have our 30-day quit drinking dude challenge is 30 podcasts in 30 days, some lessons and some accountability in there for you. And then be sure to follow us on Instagram at That Sober Guy podcast. And man, just grateful to be here today, and very, very happy to chat with you guys, man. Good stuff.
Absolutely.
Shane, thank you, man. Really appreciate you. This has been a kick in the ass. You're doing good stuff. I just love where you're going with your life. That is beautiful stuff, man. Just keep those kids close to your heart, man, because they're going to grow up really fast. Okay. They're going to grow up really fast, and you're going to all of a sudden turn around one day and go, what the fuck, where did it go? Okay.
I know. I'm trying to. Being in the moment, so important.
That's it, buddy. You're the best, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or check us out online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media at Pain Nonprofit. Please subscribe to the podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. To donate, please click the link in the description and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.